Good morning, everybody. So, I wasn't planning this. Yesterday when I went to go pick up some beer, well, I didn't buy beer, but when I went up to get some alcohol, the bus was like, I don't know, almost 10 minutes late. Like, it got to the point where I was thinking that maybe it was some holiday that I overlooked, and I was getting ready to leave when it showed up. So that's interesting, right? But today I was going to get the bus, because today's Friday, to go down to the farmer's market, and the bus was like 5 minutes early. So as I was getting to the bus stop, the bus drove past me. So yeah, decided to walk and talk. A wee bit hungover. I didn't even really drink that much. It was just I made a classic mistake and started out my night with a Four Loko, and well, Four Loko just, oh, it's loco. I don't know what it is, but you know how there's like different types of like marijuana. You know, like people say there's like the indica and the sativa, or indica and whatever. I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. But it gives you like two different types of buzzes. Well, I guess it's kind of like the same with alcohol. Like liquor and beer, and then you got Four Loko. And it always makes me stupid. Not like punching in car windows stupid, but just a little bit more strange than usual. So, I don't know why I bought one, besides the fact that they have a really high alcohol content, and I didn't want to drink a lot, but I wanted to get a buzz, and I knew those always worked. So, I don't know why I did it. I bought one of those, and I bought a Mike's Hard Lemonade, and it's just, when I say I don't want to drink anymore, it's usually days like today. Now, it's a complete lie, of course, but I tell you what, I don't want to drink Four Loko anymore, because it's almost like freaking train. It's almost like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. You'll see someday maybe. Anyways, so not really much to talk about, because I literally kind of recapped everything yesterday. So not a whole lot to talk about. I scrapped out pretty much everything. I got all the wire down to one coating of insulation. So all the vacuum cords and stuff were the first stripped, and that rope crap's off of them. So, and I got all the motors broke free from everything. So I have to either take in the wire as it is, burn it, or strip it some more. And we'll see about that. And the motors have to be finished taken apart, but the bulk of the stuff is taken care of. What else? What else is there? I was kind of thinking about riding my bike down, because I haven't done that in a long time. But one, it's in the basement, and I don't really want to get it out of the basement. And not that it's a hard job to get it out of the basement, but I'm not the most comfortable bike rider in the world, so it's rarely my first choice to take a bike. Usually walking's better for me. And if I would have took the bike, we probably wouldn't be chit-chatting. So, it is a lot quicker. Probably less work in the long run, but it is what it is. Sorry about the coughing. I smoked a few cigarettes last night, and for some reason, besides the cigarettes, like when I drink, I get a little bit more coffee. I don't know why. Even whenever I was going without smoking and drinking, like when I would just drink, I'd get like a weird raspiness. It's no big deal. It'll clear up before the end of the night. Probably. What else is there? We're about halfway to the end of the trail, so this conversation won't be going too much longer. And I'll have to stop a bit early to take a leak before I hit the road, because if I hit the road, I run out of places to take a leak. So, be doing that here before the trail ends. I mentioned I'm going to the farmer's market. I'm gonna pick up some stuff. Green tomatoes. I made my grandmother typically makes green tomatoes with just flour, I think, and then she fries them, and it's good. It's good. Actually, it's better than the way I learned to do it. I looked up fried green tomato recipes and saw southern fried green tomatoes, which is battered in like cornbread instead of cornmeal instead of flour. And I tried those, and they were good. The thing is, like, they were something that stand alone. Like, you can eat them the way they are, and the other ones I usually put on a sandwich with butter, and I just like that better. So I don't make the cornmeal ones anymore. It was a fun thing to try, because that's like the more traditional way, I think, of making fried green tomatoes. I got there's a little video clip of the garden. I'm actually pretty proud of it. I thought it was going to be far worse than what it was. I watched this guy's video on pruning tomato plants. I already knew how. It was more of see if there's any sneaky tips or tricks that I didn't know. And I went and cleaned up the tomato plants a good bit. I kind of let them, like, I take off most of the undergrowth, and I kind of just let the tops go wild. And then whenever I start getting like a few big hefty branches, I pick which ones that I think are going to be, that are developing nicer than the other ones. So, like, they call them suckers, but like indeterminate tomato plants, they kind of just keep growing and growing and growing, and you can have more than one main branch and it'll be just fine. So I usually let them go, and then whenever I get like, look at that, that's cool, right? I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's like one little beam of light and a maple leaf like right in the center of the shadow. It's super cool looking. And hopefully you guys can see that. I think that's kind of cool. I also saw a cool spider web too, but I was almost positive that wouldn't show up in the camera. Now, what was I talking about? Tomato plants. We're almost to the end, so I'm going to wrap this up with tomato plants. So, I kind of let them grow. And then, once I get 3 or 4 really nice branches that I really like, I usually cut the rest off. Now, I was watching this video, and I'm not sure how true this is. It seems like... The thing is, tomato plants, they're one of those plants that, I can't remember what it's called, but they're one of those plants that any cell can produce any part of the plant. So, any part of the plant can produce any part of the plant. So, like, if you cut off a tomato plant, that piece can grow roots. Now, the video I watched, this dude, he's rather knowledgeable. I'm not knocking his prowess. He probably knows far more than I do. But, one thing I picked up from the video was when you cut off the nicer, what gardeners call suckers, they, you can kind of just pop them right in the ground and they start to grow. Now, that just seems, it's one of those hacks, you know, it's like one of those 5-minute hack things that I'm like, yeah, well, that would be really nice if it works, but I don't know if that's gonna work. The thing is, here was my dilemma, alright? Or here was my thought process. If it's a joke, then I wasted 5 minutes. If it's not a joke, then I'll have a bunch more tomato plants. I was already cutting them off. And having them cut off, they were just going to get mulched up by the lawnmower, or I was just going to throw them in the garden or the old garden for future fertilizer, and that would have been that. So me planting them and seeing if it works is no harm, no foul. If they pick up and grow, that's amazing, because then I'll be like, I think I planted like 7, so that'd be like 7 more tomato plants that, in theory, considering that we're about halfway in the season, the tomatoes that I have now will probably ripen up as those ones start to come on. So that would be, that's the ideal thought. Now, where I'm at, we don't typically have 2 growing seasons, but depending on the weather, considering how this year was really kind of weird, like it stayed cold longer, but it fluctuated so much that it might be okay, and we might not get 2 full-on growing seasons. But if I got a second batch of green tomatoes at the end of the year, I'd be pretty happy with that. Especially if it was just from the cuttings. So, we'll see. But we're at the end of the trail. So, thanks for listening, guys. And watching. Listening and watching. And I'll see you guys, I don't know, later. And I'll tell you what I get from the farmer's market.